For loops are a way for you to execute a certain block of code a certain number of times. All this is saying is if you have some code that you want to repeat several times, you can do it using a for loop, and that allows you to not have to repeat yourself and type the same code over and over again. So there's two types of for loops. There's a for in loop and a for conditional increment. In this video, we're going to talk about the for in loop. So here we have a array here called dog names, and it's an array of strings here. And a for in loop allows us to loop through this array and access all the values that are inside of it. And we can use it with arrays, we can use it with dictionaries, and we can also use it with ranges. So we're going to work through the array example first. So in this line, we have for dog name with no S and dog names with an S. And then we have some code here where we're going to print out the name of the dog. So what this block of code does is it says, okay, I have this array dog names and I want to loop through each item. So the first time it comes through, it's going to take the first value in the array, Fido, and it's going to assign this value to this variable dog name. And that means that we can use this variable dog name to do something with it here. For example, we're just printing out the name of the dog here, but you could do whatever you want with it. If these were ints, you could do some sort of computation. But once it works through Fido and it does everything in this little block of code, it comes back and it goes to the next item. So we'll take Jeff and assign that to dog name and run through the code. And then it takes Sean and assigns it to dog name and runs through the code. So that's how you use a for in loop with arrays. Now if we wanted to use it with a dictionary, we'll change this to dog ages, just like we used in the other examples, and we'll turn this into a dictionary literal. Awesome. So we have this dictionary called dog ages, and it has strings for the keys and ints as the values. So now we have to change this to dog ages because we changed the name, right? And here, instead of using a dog name just for one variable, we have to specify what we want the key variable to be and the value variable to be. So we do the parentheses here. We'll say dog name for the key and dog age for the value. So just to continue this example, the dog name is dog name, and it's dog age years old. So what's happening here is it's going to run through this dictionary dog ages, and so let's say for the first time it takes Fido and it's going to pass it to dog name, and it's going to take the age 8 and pass it into dog age, and then we can use both of those variables here and do something with it. So the one thing to remember with dictionaries is they are not an ordered collection type. What that means is you don't have a certain order that's guaranteed. So for example, with an array, you know exactly what the first item in the array is, what the last one is, or anyone in between. With dictionaries, it's just kind of a big blob of items, and the way to access a specific one is through their keys. So when you're looping through them, you can still loop through all of them, but you're not guaranteed a certain order. So if we, loop through this, it's not guaranteed that Fido is going to show up first, and then it's going to go to Jeff, and then it's going to go to Sean. I mean, it could go Jeff, Sean, Fido, or Sean, Fido, Jeff. It could be anything. And something else that's neat here that you can do, let's say you're looping through the items and dog ages, and you realize, I don't really want the key, I just want the value. If you do an underscore, you don't have access to that variable, but if you don't need it, then you're kind of saving yourself from creating something you won't use. So we get an error here because we're trying to access a variable that doesn't exist. So we'll just change this to the dog is dog age years old. So you can see here, just by passing an underscore, you don't have to use it. And this works for arrays as well. So if we have uh, dog ages as an array, rather than passing something like dog age, we could just do an underscore. And also remember that there's nothing magical about the name of the variable that you put here. So for example, I'm calling it dog age, but it could be anything. I can call this blah, da blah. I mean, we have to change how we're using it here, right? But just remember, there's no special naming about this variable. You can name it whatever you want. So we've been through arrays, we've been through dictionaries. Now let's talk about ranges. So let's say we don't have a dictionary or an array, but we just want to execute a certain amount of code a certain number of times. So you want to say, hello pup, and we want to do this 5 times. The way to do this is we just say 1, then the triple dot, and a 5. So if you remember, the triple dot means a range of numbers from this first one, 1, all the way to the last one, 5, including it. So this is saying 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what's happening here is we're going to loop through 5 times and perform this code in this little block 5 times. And each time we run through it, whatever item we're at is passed into this index variable. So, I mean, let's just say we just wanted to simply print out whatever the current index value is. I mean, we can do that. Or, remember, we can ignore it by just using this underline and go back to something like, hello, pup, and it'll do this 5 times. So I think this is really cool. This is a neat way if you just want to do something X amount of times. You don't have to specify what the current value is, and you can just do this really cool range here. And I mean, these numbers don't have to be literals or hard-coded, right? So let's say var dog total, or dog age. Let's just do dog age, and it's equal to 8. We could do 1 through dog age, and it will loop through 1 through 8, including 8, and do that many times.